The streets are buzzing and the whispers are getting louder. David, real name David Anthony Burkheis, now suspected in the brutal murder of Celeste. Just days after the feds raided his Hollywood Hills home, David and his manager broke their lease and dipped out, leaving behind more questions than answers. But this ain't just some regular eviction drama. The evidence the feds found inside that house, and the fact that David was last seen with Celeste before she went missing, has the industry bracing for what looks like an inevitable arrest. It all started on September 8th, 2025, at a Hollywood impound lot. Workers noticed a foul smell leaking out of a black Tesla Model 3 that had been sitting in the California heat for 5 days. That car registered under David's name. When LAPD popped the frunk, what they found was straight horror movie material. Human remains wrapped in plastic, decomposed down to just 71 pounds. And word on the street? The body wasn't even in one piece. From bedroom producer to chart-topping superstar, David's meteoric rise just came crashing down like a house of cards. And now the block is hotter than ever as the world watches this twisted story unfold in real time. But the real nightmare came on September 17th when the LA County Coroner's Office finally dropped their findings. The human remains pulled from that Tesla weren't just anybody. They belonged to 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Celeste had been missing from Lake Elsinore since April 2024, and her case had haunted her community for more than a year. She was just 5'1" with curly black hair, a tube top, black leggings, a yellow chain bracelet, and stud earrings the night she disappeared. But investigators zeroed in on something chilling. A tattoo on her right pointer finger. The exact same tattoo David also had inked on his right pointer finger. Celeste's mother had already told police that her daughter had been hanging out with someone named David. Now, with the car, the tattoo, and the body, those puzzle pieces were starting to connect in ways no one wanted to imagine. Here's where it gets even darker. Celeste didn't just vanish overnight. She had been reported missing back in April 2024 when she was only 13 after running away from home. And the whispers online suggest David may have been in contact with her long before that. Screenshots from Discord chats dating as far back as August 2022 allegedly show conversations between David and a user named Celeste when she was only 12 years old. Authorities haven't confirmed those chats yet, but on social media the dots are already being connected, and none of it looks good for David. What makes this story even more tragic is the meteoric rise David was experiencing at the very same time. This was a kid who taught himself to make beats on his iPhone in his sister's closet, at first just for Fortnite montages to dodge copyright strikes, but somehow those raw recordings turned into billions of streams worldwide. His breakout single Romantic Homicide, recorded on nothing but Apple earbuds, made him an overnight star. And now that same overnight success story is being overshadowed by one of the darkest scandals the music world has ever seen.
I went on my phone the next day, I was like, how to make music on iPhone. That was it. Apple earbuds, no mic, no headphones either. Literally the mic on the headphones. I'm just sitting there like this, knees up on the door of the closet.
Now that's a real rags to riches story. But with everything coming out, that success has turned into a nightmare. The wild part? His breakout track, Romantic Homicide, a song he claimed was about heartbreak and emotional pain, hits completely different now with what we know. In his own words, when he explained what the song meant.
I didn't kill her physically, but in the back of my mind, she died. And I didn't even cry, not a single tear.
That line hits different now. For real, dude was always talking about putting himself in different people's shoes when he made music.
Include a piece of myself in every part of the music, but I try to get like every different perspective I can, every possible perspective, every possible like viewpoint I can.
Now we gotta wonder whose perspective he was really channeling when he made that track. But the most disturbing part is how long this whole situation went unnoticed. That Tesla sat abandoned in the Hollywood Hills for almost 3 weeks before it got towed, neighbors catching whiffs of something foul but brushing it off as just city funk. The car had been spotted as early as mid-August, shifting around the hills before finally ending up on Bluebird Avenue for the last time. And while that was going down, David was out on his Withered World tour, rocking packed venues with fans who had no idea death was literally riding in his car. On September 9th and 10th, he was on stage in Minneapolis, giving out merch and smiling like everything was normal while Celeste's body was rotting in the trunk of his Tesla. When the news finally broke, the entire gaming and hip-hop community was shaken to its core.
So I wake up this morning, right? I check my phone, as I usually do, and I open TikTok. I want to start my day off in a good mood. First thing I see, dead body found in David's trunk. What? I look it up on Google. Oh yeah, no, they actually found a dead body in his trunk. Back up. What do you mean mean one of my favorite music artists, the guy that wrote Romantic Homicide, might have actually committed homicide.
That discovery on September 8th was just the spark that lit the fuse on what's now being called one of the wildest downfalls in modern hip-hop. By September 17, 2025, the feds came knocking, and the Hollywood Hills turned into something out of a Netflix true crime special. What went down that day didn't just put David under the microscope. It had his whole crew scrambling out of their luxury spot like the walls were closing in. This wasn't no regular apartment either. David and his manager Josh Marshall were posted up in a $6 million four-bedroom rental on Doheny Place, running them $2,000 a month since February 2024. And here's the chilling part. The lease got signed the exact same month. Celeste first went missing on Valentine's Day. That's a connection you can't just brush off. The landlord, a dude named Melodin Trifunovic, had security cameras wired all over the place, but later claimed he couldn't touch the footage without a warrant. Neighbors were used to seeing that black Tesla parked outside, not realizing they might have been living next to a crime scene the whole time. When LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division rolled up, they came deep. Detectives Forensics, the works 12 hours straight from 3 p.m. on September 18th, flipping the place inside out. And this wasn't no fishing expedition. These cats knew exactly what they were looking for. They hit the house with luminol, that chemical that glows blue when it finds blood, checking floors, drains, pipes, anywhere DNA could be hiding. That alone tells you investigators believed Celeste may have been killed or even dismembered right there in that crib. Dark doesn't even begin to cover it. The time they left, they were hauling out bags of evidence, computers, electronics hard drives, anything that could tie David to Celeste. And word on the street is those computers were key because police wanted receipts of digital convos. Probably those Discord messages everybody's been whispering about between David and Celeste. The picture was getting darker by the day. Even the landlord was blindsided. Dude swore he had no clue. David was even living there until his property manager hit him up on September 18th, saying the whole thing was a complete shock. That just shows how low-key David was trying to keep everything, even from the guy cashing his rent checks. But here's the move that raised every eyebrow in the neighborhood. The second cops cleared out from their 12-hour search. David and Josh. Marshall started scrambling to break the lease. The landlord said they flat out told him they didn't want to stay there anymore because of all the heat. Come on now. Innocent people don't run from a house just because police went through it. If you're clean, you sit tight, you cooperate. But these cats were moving like they had ghosts in the walls. By the end of that week, moving trucks were rolling up, cameras flashing, neighbors peeking through blinds as David's crew packed up everything they could carry. The timing was damning. The same day Celeste's body was officially identified. September 17th. David canceled his Seattle show, citing unforeseen circumstances. That was the first domino in his empire collapsing. The business world cut him loose almost overnight. Crocs and Hollister dropped him, erasing him from campaigns like he never existed. His label froze the new album. Streaming numbers spiked and crashed as fans couldn't decide whether to defend him or drag him. A few streamers tried to ride for him early, but when more evidence started dropping, their words aged like milk. Meanwhile, people started pointing at the Tesla itself. Because those cars don't just drive, they record, it's built in. Cameras could end up being the smoking gun, but while detectives were digging through tech, the streets were buzzing with even more twisted allegations. This wasn't just about a matching tattoo. Word started spreading that David's relationship with Celeste might have gone back years back to when she was only 12. If that's true, we're talking about straight predator behavior. And those alleged Discord chats, they paint a sick picture. Screenshots floating online show conversations between David and someone named Celeste, hinting at a relationship that could have been going on long before she disappeared. One message in particular stood out. David allegedly asking Celeste to say hi to David Burke, using his full last name was already unsettling enough, but then came the Instagram DM screenshots. In those, Celeste supposedly talked about being assaulted by David and some dude named Gus. Now police haven't confirmed those messages yet, but the internet didn't. Wait for paperwork. People were furious, demanding answers, demanding arrests. Even his music started looking like a confession in plain sight. A leaked track from December 2023 called Celeste Demo. Unfin mentioned her name multiple times, making fans wonder if David was leaving breadcrumbs through his art and his biggest hit, Romantic Homicide. The song that once sounded like heartbreak suddenly sounded like something way more sinister when you put it against this timeline. The cops kept digging. And David's panicked move out of that Hollywood Hills mansion only made things look worse. From superstar to suspect in less than a week, that's how fast it flipped. One moment he was selling out shows. The next, he was the face of one of the darkest scandals to ever hit the music industry. When the streets started talking, the picture that formed was bigger than just a missing person case. This was predator behavior, grooming systematic exploitation that allegedly began when Celeste was barely 12 years old. Murder was one part of it, but the grooming claims made this whole situation 10 times darker. And David wasn't the only name coming up. His manager, Josh Marshall, the same guy paying $2,000 a month for that Hollywood Hills spot, suddenly had people side-eyeing him. He'd been managing David for 4 years. Fans online were demanding answers. You're his manager. You know everything. How could you not see this? To this point, there's no hard evidence tying him to any crime, and the law hasn't charged him with anything. But the court of public opinion, they've already decided he looked the other way. Then there's Gus, real name Gustavo Osorio. His name started bubbling up in connection to Celeste too. According to rumors, he may have also been involved in assaulting Hurdying, another thread into this already disturbing web. According to leaked Instagram messages, Celeste allegedly described being forced into sexual situations while drunk with Gus, getting violent whenever she resisted. Screenshots even showed David unfollowing Gustavo Osorio on Instagram once those accusations started bubbling online. The cops haven't officially named Gus as a suspect, but the streets already painted him as part of something sinister. And then came the wildest rumor of them all, that Celeste might have been pregnant. While detectives were chasing evidence, the music industry was cutting ties at lightning speed. David pulled the plug on the rest of his Withered World tour, citing unforeseen circumstances. Big-name brands like Crocs and Hollister erased him from their campaigns overnight. His label shelved his new album indefinitely. Just like that, millions in streaming money, touring revenue, and brand deals evaporated. The darkest irony? His biggest hit was Romantic Homicide. A song meant to capture heartbreak, now sounded like a haunting confession. Fans replayed interviews where David talked about preparing for heartbreak through his music, and the words hit completely different like. He wasn't preparing for emotional pain at all, but something far more disturbing. From a legal angle, the stakes couldn't be higher. If prosecutors prove David lured, groomed, and killed Celeste, that's first-degree murder with premeditation of a minor. In California, that means life without parole. And while the state has a moratorium on executions, the death penalty is technically still on the table. The investigation is grinding forward piece by piece. The LA County coroner still hasn't determined Celeste's exact cause of death. Her body was too decomposed. LAPD is poring over every laptop, hard drive, and phone they seized from the Hollywood Hills house. And the biggest card they might be holding? Tesla's built-in cameras. If they pull usable footage from that Model 3, it could either clear David or lock him away forever. Meanwhile, social media detectives are connecting dots like it's their full-time job. Threads, Discord servers, and YouTube deep dives are pumping out theories daily. In Lake Elsinore, Celeste's hometown, the community held candlelight vigils in her memory while her family launched a GoFundMe to cover funeral costs. And then there's the fan base. People who once championed David's music were forced to face the unthinkable. Their favorite artist might have been a predator and a murderer. You could hear it in their voices, the desperation to find an explanation. Any explanation that didn't end with David Anthony Burke as a monster hiding in plain sight. This whole situation is shining a light on just how vulnerable young fans can be when artists use online spaces the wrong way. Those leaked Discord conversations, supposedly starting when Celeste was just 12, show how dangerous these fan communities can be for kids. Child protection advocates are already saying we need stronger safeguards for how adult creators interact with minors. The timeline keeps getting darker too. Celeste's mom confirmed her daughter mentioned dating someone named David and those matching tattoos. That's not a coincidence, that's intimacy. There's even footage floating around that allegedly shows her on live streams with him. Meanwhile, LAPD says they're treating this as an active homicide and chasing down multiple leads. The coroner's final report could blow this case wide open, David still claiming innocence through his lawyers, but his sudden escape from that Hollywood Hills spot, paired with all the evidence piling up, makes it look like his freedom is running out. Think about it. A kid who started out making beats in his sister's closet is now the main suspect in one of the wildest celebrity murder cases in years. And his old words about preparing for heartbreak hit completely different now, chilling even. This goes way beyond David's downfall, exposing how the digital age gives predators a hunting ground hidden inside fan culture. It's showing us just how easily parasocial relationships can be twisted. David used to brag about being close with his Discord fan base. What looked like genuine connection now feels more like a predator's playground. And that abandoned Hollywood Hills rental, it's more than just a property he left behind. It's the perfect symbol of how fast a carefully crafted image can collapse into ruin. That $2,000 a month Hollywood Hills rentalance, a symbol of success, now stands as a crime scene forever tied to unspeakable acts. And as this story keeps unfolding, one thing is crystal clear. Celeste Rivas Hernandez deserves justice. She was just 15 with her whole life ahead of her. Her family deserves answers, accountability, and to know that whoever's responsible faces the full weight of the law. David's sudden disappearance from that property might mark the fall of his meteoric rise in music. But it should also be the start of real changes to protect vulnerable young people from predators who use fame and influence as weapons. At the end of the day, the loudest voice belongs to those demanding justice. The investigation is still grinding forward, but David's career and reputation look permanently destroyed. From viral sensation to alleged killer, his story is now a brutal reminder of the dark side of internet fame and how exposed young fans really are in digital spaces. As the legal process plays out, the entire entertainment industry is being forced to confront some ugly truths about protecting minors, power dynamics, and what happens when those lines go unchecked. The streets are watching the evidence keep stacking, and justice for Celeste can't come soon enough.